Okay, guys. Apparently, I'm getting in trouble for telling this story because it literally, I thought it was because I flipped off the camera and it was like a YouTube thing, but then it was it was weird. Okay, so this is gonna be a longer story than I had originally planned to do. It's gonna be 3 videos instead of just one. So I did the intro, I set the tone, and I talked about the lost books of the Bible and lost books of even in the first one. So I have to edit it down a little bit to not edit the live stream. I'm not gonna edit the live stream, but I'm gonna edit what I called it. Oh, somebody's watching. Hi. So here we go. So this is Saint Mary Magdalene. This is from Britannica. It's the biography of Saint Mary Magdalene. So I'm just going to give a little more history on her, and then we'll go into her. So she is a disciple of Jesus. Alternate title is Mary of Magdala by the editors of the Encyclopedia Britannica. So top questions. Who is Saint Mary Magdalene? Saint Mary was a disciple of Jesus. According to the gospel accounts, Jesus cleansed her of 7 demons, and she financially aided him in Galilee. She was one of the witnesses of the crucifixion and burial of Jesus, and famously was the first person to see him after the resurrection. How did St. Mary Magdalene die? Little is known about St. Mary Magdalene's life after the gospel accounts. According to Eastern tradition, she accompanied St. John the Apostle to Ephesus, where she died and was buried. French tradition spuriously claims that she evangelized Provence, southeastern France, and spent her last 30 years in an alpine cave. I didn't know any of that. I don't really talk about that in the Bible, but apparently the Bible that we know it, guys, is missing a lot of things. Saint Mary Magdalene, also called Mary of Magdala, flourished 1st century CE Palestine, feast day July 22. One of Jesus' most celebrated disciples, famous, according to Mark 16, verse 9 to 10, and John 20, verse 14 to 17, for being the first person to see the resurrected Christ. The unchallenged facts about her life establish that Jesus cleansed her of 7 demons, Luke 8, verse 2, and Mark 16, verse 9, probably implying that he cured her of a physical disorder rather than the popular notion that he freed her of evil spirits. She was one of the women who accompanied and aided Jesus in Galilee, Luke 8, verse 1 to 2, and all 4 canonical gospels attest that she witnessed Jesus' crucifixion and burial. John 19, verse 25 to 26 further notes that she stood by the cross near the Virgin Mary and the unidentified apostle whom Jesus loved, which was John. Having seen where Jesus was buried, Mark 15 to 47, she went with 2 other women on Easter morning to the tomb to anoint the corpse. Finding the tomb empty, Mary ran to the disciples. She returned with St. Peter, who astonished left her. Christ then appeared to Mary, and according to John chapter 20, verse 17, instructed her to tell the apostles that he was ascending to God. Interesting. So there's a picture. If you go, so I have the links on here, so I would suggest clicking on them because there's that I can't show you. Actually, I can show you. Let me get them on my phone. Hang on. Britannica. In 2018, there was a film about her by Davis. I didn't know that. Saint Mary Magdalene biography and facts. Is this the right one? Yeah. Okay. It's loading. Sorry, guys. My apologies. Yep, this is the right one. Okay. So this first image is Friar Bartolomeo, God the Father, with SS, Catherine of Siena, and Mary Magdalene. Here's my live stream. And this is the one I'm looking at right now. Tahitian Nole Me Tangere. Nole Me Tangere oil on canvas by Tahitian, C 1514 in the National Gallery, London. It is 110 5 by 91.9 centimeters. Image is copyright photos.com, Jupiter Images. And this is that one. So this must have been right after she found him in the tomb. Somebody drew this. Are there any other pictures or drawings? I think that's it. Yeah, the rest is just, let me wait, hang on. No. No, it looks like a bunch of ads. Okay. All right, back to this. Okay, the Gospels reveal her to be of practical character. Origen and other early textual interpreters usually viewed her as distinct from the mystical Mary of Bethany, who anointed Jesus' feet and wiped them with her hair. John 12, verse 3-7. And from the penitent woman whose sins Jesus pardoned for anointing him in a like fashion, Luke 7, verse 37-48. So remember, you guys, if you watched my Easter story videos, if not, go to the Easter story videos. What just happened? What am I looking at right now? Oh, some like ad just popped up. Okay. There's a lot of ads on this. So I lost my train. Okay, Easter story. So it said, remember I said like my favorite one was, I can't see myself because I'm looking at that. Favorite. Okay, do you remember the Easter story? Guys, if you haven't, I have a whole thing on this on the Easter story egg. Okay, so there is, I think it's on a Wednesday. Teacher of Love Tuesday. I remembered it right. Give and Take Wednesday. So it talks about the woman putting the expensive perfume on Jesus. And it says in this that it was a woman. They didn't know who she was. And if you read the 4 Gospels, only one of them tells you that it's Mary Magdalene. Which one is it, guys? My favorite Gospel? John. Also, in here, it's talking about the unidentified disciple. Guess which disciple was? John. John is the one that God, like Jesus says on the cross, this is your mother, this is your son. That's John. His disciple John, and John is the only one who tells you that it's Mary Magdalene who puts the perfume on Jesus' feet. I don't know why the other 3 stupid disciples decided not to include it, but John is obviously the better disciple. Like, everybody says so many things about Peter, but like, he wasn't freaking at the cross. He was freaking hiding and then ashamed and like, anyway. Okay, back to this. The gospel revealed her to be part of, okay, blah, blah. I read all this. The Eastern Church also distinguishes between the three, but after they were identified as one and the same by St. Gregory the Great, Mary Magdalene's cult flourished in the West. This identification has since been challenged, and modern scholars feel that the 3 women are distinct. Okay. Gnostics, pre-Christians, and early Christians who believed evil and redemption is attained by an enlightened elite through faith alone, regarded her as a medium of secret revelation, so described in their Gospel of Mary, Gospel of Philip, and Pistis Sophia. According to Eastern tradition, she accompanied St. John the Evangelist to Ephesus, near modern Selkirk, Turkey, where she died and was buried. French tradition spuriously claims that she evangelized Provence, now southeastern France, and spent her last 30 years in an alpine cave. Medieval legend relates that she was John's wife. Interesting. Okay, gospel in the New Testament. Is this something different? I'm really confused. Okay, I think this is like a whole new section. Yeah, this is a Then we're on, oh my God, there's so many ads, guys. Like, you can't, there's like no fucking information or content or news because it's just bombarded by so many fucking ads. I hate fucking advertising. Okay, history stories. History shows this day in history schedule topic stories. Okay, history stories. So this is how early church leaders downplayed Mary Magdalene's influence by calling her a whore. Other early documents portray her as Jesus' companion and even mention kissing. What's really known about the Bible's most mysterious woman? Sarah Pruitt wrote this. A woman wrote this. It was updated April 2nd, 2021. The original was March 1st, 2019. So this is a really cool picture, guys. So I'm going to see if I can try to get this for you. Okay, so this is history.com. Oh my God. I really don't. Okay. History.com. Okay, I got it. First one. Good. That was easy. Okay. Here's the picture. Can't click on it. Okay. Let me switch. Oh, I can't click on it. There it goes. Can I turn it? No, I can't. Can I zoom in? Yes, I can, but I can't turn it. Okay. So you're just going to have to view it in profile. Okay. So this is a picture that appears on their website. There's no caption. It just says art, media, print, collector, Getty Images, which is just like a stock image company. Like, doesn't acknowledge who actually drew it or painted it, which honestly I feel like is a copyright issue, but we'll see. Okay. No, I don't want that page. This page. Okay. Here we go. Okay, she was Mary of Magdala, one of the earliest followers of Jesus of Nazareth. According to the Bible, she traveled with him, witnessed his crucifixion, and was one of the first people to learn of his resurrection. Over the centuries, everyone, from early church leaders and scholars to novelists and filmmakers, have revised and elaborated on the story of Mary Magdalene. On one hand, they downplayed her importance by claiming she was a prostitute, a ruined woman who repented and was saved by Christ's teachings. On the other, some early Christian texts depict Mary Magdalene as not just a mere follower, but Jesus' trusted companion, which some interpreted to mean his wife. But is there any truth to either of these stories? What do we really know about the Bible's most mysterious woman, Mary Magdalene? Bum, bum, bum. Okay. What the Bible says about Mary Magdalene. All four canonical Gospels of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, noted Mary Magdalene's presence at Jesus' crucifixion, but only the Gospel of Luke discussed her role in Jesus' life and ministry, listed her among some women who had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities. Luke 8, verse 1-3. According to Luke, after Jesus cast out 7 demons from her, Mary became part of a group of women who traveled with him and his 12 disciples, apostles. Hear that, guys? Became part of a group of women who traveled with him and his 12 disciples, apostles. So women did travel. We watch The Chosen. There's at least 2 right now, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of God. Magdalene is not a surname, but identified the place Mary came from, Magdala, a city in Galilee, located in the northernmost region of ancient Palestine, now northern Israel. Okay, so there's another piece of art later on. Let me see if I can get. I must have closed out of it. Sorry, guys. It's going to take me a little bit. Okay, history.com, Mary Magdalene. Good, it saved it. Okay, so it's a little further down right here. Okay, this one does have a caption. It says, the crucifixion of Jesus with the Virgin Mary, St. John, and Mary Magdalene. Daniela Camille for Alinari Archives, Florence, reproduced with the permission of Ministerio per I beni e le attività culturali Alinari via Getty Images. Again, we are not attributing the artist, so don't really like that. Okay, here it is. Wait, sorry, guys. Okay, here it is. So you see John, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother, and there's another person that I don't know. Virgin Mary, St. John, and Mary. And some unidentified person. I don't know why they have some random person on the other side. I don't know if they're supposed to be important or not. Okay, back to this. Mary Magdalene is among Jesus' earlier followers, says Robert Cargill, assistant professor of classics and religious studies at the University of Iowa and editor of Biblical Archaeology Review. She was named in the Gospels, so she obviously was important. There were apparently hundreds, if not thousands, of followers of Jesus, but we don't know most of their names. So the fact that she's named is a big deal, guys. Okay. After Jesus' crucifixion, which she witnessed along with several other women from the foot of the cross, and after all his male disciples had fled, Mary Magdalene also played a key role in the story of the resurrection. According to the Gospels, she visited Jesus' tomb on Easter Sunday, either alone, according to the Gospel of John, or with other women, and found the tomb empty. The women are the ones who go and tell the disciples, Cargill points out. They are the ones that discovered that he had risen, and that's significant. In the Gospel of John, Jesus actually appears to Mary Magdalene alone after his resurrection and instructs her to tell his disciples of his return. John 20, verse 1 to 13. So beautiful, guys. Okay, Mary Magdalene as a sinner. Despite, or perhaps because of, Mary Magdalene's clear importance in the Bible, some early Western church leaders sought to downplay her influence by portraying her as a sinner, specifically a prostitute, which she was. There are many scholars who argue that because Jesus empowered women to such an extent early in his ministry, it made some of the men who would lead the early church later on uncomfortable. Of course it did. Cargill explains, and so there were two responses to this. One was to turn her into a prostitute. To cast Mary as the original repentant whore, early church leaders conflated her with other women mentioned in the Bible, including an unnamed woman identified in the Gospel of Luke as a sinner who bathes Jesus' feet with her tears, dries them, and puts ointment on them. Luke 7, verse 37 to 38. As well as another Mary, Mary of Bethany, who also appears in Luke in 591 AD. Pope Gregory the Great solidified this misunderstanding in a sermon. She whom Luke calls the sinful woman, whom John calls Mary of Bethany, we believe to be the Mary from whom 7 devils were ejected according to Mark. Thought she was the same Mary the whole time. So I'm distrusting these gospels right now, guys. By turning Mary Magdalene into a prostitute, then she is not important. It diminishes her in some way. She couldn't have been a leader because look at what she did for a living, Cargill says. Of course, the other response was actually to elevate Mary. Some argued she was actually Jesus' wife or companion. She had special status. Okay, here's another artwork, guys. Okay, so Jesus at the table in the house of the Pharisee, this is a caption, receiving the visit of Mary Magdalene, depicted as a prostitute bowing at Jesus' feet. This is by Sergio Anali Electa Mondori, portfolio from Getty Images. So it is credited this time. Good job, history.com. Okay. All right, back to this. So many ads popping up. Good gosh. Okay. Mary Magdalene as Jesus' wife. While some early Christians sought to downplay Mary's influence, others sought to accentuate it. The Gospel of Mary, a text dating from the 2nd century AD, that surfaced in Egypt in 1896, placed Mary Magdalene above Jesus' male disciples in knowledge and influence. She also featured prominently in the so-called Gnostic Gospels, a group of texts believed to have been written by early Christians as far back as the 2nd century AD, but not discovered until 1945 near the Egyptian town of Nag Hammadi. One of these texts, known as the Gospel of Philip, referred to Mary Magdalene as Jesus' companion and claimed that Jesus loved her more than the other disciples. Most controversially, the text stated that Jesus used to kiss Mary, often on her blank. Damage to the text left the last word unreadable, though some scholars have filled in the missing word as mouth. Interesting. This is so fucking sweet, guys. Okay, since 2003, tens of millions of readers have devoured Dan Brown's massively best-selling thriller, The Da Vinci Code, the plot of which centered around the long-standing theory that Jesus and Mary Magdalene had children together. This idea was also central to The Last Temptation of Christ, the 1955 novel by Greek writer Nikos Kazantzakis, and the later film version of that book, directed by Martin Scorsese. Then, in 2012, the Harvard Divinity School professor Karen Keene unveiled a previously unknown papyrus fragment she believed to be a copy of 2nd century gospel, in which Jesus referred to Mary Magdalene as "my wife." After defending the document's authenticity against a barrage of criticism, Keene eventually changed his stance, concluding that the so-called gospel of Jesus' wife was probably a forgery. Mary Magdalene as trusted disciple. For its part, the Bible gave no hint that Mary Magdalene was Jesus' wife. None of the 4 canonical Gospels suggests that sort of relationship, even though they list the women who travel with Jesus and in some cases include their husbands' names. I don't know, guys, they had campsites with tents. Who knows what happened? The version of Mary Magdalene as a prostitute held on for centuries after Pope Gregory the Great made it official in his 6th century sermon, though neither Orthodoxy nor Protestantism adopted it when those faiths later split from the Catholic Church. Finally, in 1969, the Church admitted that the text of the Bible does not support that interpretation. Today, Mary Magdalene is considered a saint by the Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, Anglican, and Lutheran churches, with a feast day celebrated on July 22nd. My Lutheran church never celebrated Mary Magdalene, so I don't know what they're talking about. So that's on July 22nd. I'm going to celebrate her. I'm putting it in my phone right now. I'm going to think of a fun way to celebrate it, and I'm going to broadcast it. Okay, let's see here. Calendar, July 22nd. All day. What do they call it? Feast day celebrated. Okay. Feast day of Mary Magdalene. If you have not celebrated this before, guys, I highly encourage you to celebrate it with me. If not, I'll be broadcasting what I do. I have plenty of time to decide. That is less than a month away. Okay. Mary appears to have been a disciple of Jesus. Cargill concludes, what's important is that Jesus had both male and female disciples in his ministry, which was not necessarily common at the time. The prostitute and the wife theories may have been around for centuries, but they are legends and traditions that grew up long after the fact. He emphasizes neither of them is rooted in the Bible itself. Okay. I think that might be it, guys, because it goes into social media stuff. Yep, that's it for that one. Okay, so we got one more to read. So I'm hoping we can get through it. I have to leave for work. And
there's something I got you inside.
Okay, it's not that one. We'll do it. Back it up. Okay, the real reason why Mary Magdalene is such a controversial figure. So there's a video on here. This is time.com. The real reason why Mary Magdalene is such a controversial figure. It's the Mary Magdalene International Trailer number 1, 2018. It looks like it was embedded from YouTube, so you can probably just go to YouTube and type in Mary Magdalene International Trailer here. I'll see if I can share this. Link. I don't understand what's happening. Oh, it copied it. Okay, so I'm gonna, when I get out of this, I'll paste it in there for you guys. Okay. Sex worker, saint, sinner, witness, wife. In the 2,000 years since Mary Magdalene is said to have watched Jesus Christ die on the cross, she's been labeled many things. The label prostitute has stuck fast for centuries, ever since Pope Gregory, fucking popes, I first pronounced her a sinful woman in the year 1591, defying evidence to the contrary in the canonical Gospels. On the other hand, Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code, resurrected an old and popular theory that Mary Magdalene was, in fact, Jesus' wife. Good job, Dan Brown. Myths surround the figure of Mary Magdalene to this day. So I had somebody tell me that because a religious leader said it, it must be true. That's not true, guys. Like, be smart, educate yourself. Like, read the fucking Bible, read all of the fucking things. Watch my YouTube videos if you find them helpful. If you don't believe me, you want to rely on someone else, please do that. But like, educate yourself. Like, religious leaders are not perfect, okay? They're sinners too. Like, God is even a sinner. God sinned with his jealousy and his anger. Everyone has been corrupted to sin, including our God, not Jesus. Jesus is the only one who has not been corrupt, or the Holy Spirit. Those are the only two of the triune God that has not been corrupt. That's why God created the other two to help him, because he wasn't doing a good job as a leader, and he knew that, and he knew well enough that he needed assistance. So he has the Holy Spirit and he has Jesus, okay? Okay, but neither theory, penitent, prostitute, or devoted spouse, actually matches what can be said about Mary Magdalene from what's written in the Bible. She was a woman from Magdala, a small Galilean town known for its fishing, who became a female disciple and was first witness to Jesus' resurrection, the cornerstone of Christianity. But the team behind the new film Mary Magdalene, directed by Garth Davis, is hoping to get back to basics. The movie, which came out in the UK on March 16, tells the story of Mary Magdalene, Rooney Mara, detailing her fraught existence in Magdala as a single woman determined not to marry. Before she meets Jesus, Joaquin Phoenix, and follows him to Galilee and then Jerusalem, where he's crucified. Yet, in stripping away the myths, this film portrayal of Mary Magdalene underlies what some scholars see as the real and unexpected reason why she's so controversial. At the heart of the controversy is the idea that Mary Magdalene's connection to Jesus was spiritual rather than romantic. For example, in the film's version of the Last Supper, Mary Magdalene is seated on Jesus' right-hand side, though the tableau echoes a key scene in the 2006 film version of the Da Vinci Code, in which the characters examine Leonardo da Vinci's mural, The Last Supper, and debate whether the evenement figure to Jesus' right was in fact Mary Magdalene. I bet it was. The new movie doesn't place her there as his wife. The significance of her seat lies instead in Mary Magdalene taking the prized position above any of the 12 male apostles, as Peter, Chiwetel Ejiofor, looks on in jealousy. I bet he does. This version of the story is the real reason why Mary Magdalene is dangerous to the church, according to Professor Joan Taylor of King's College, London, who worked as historical advisor for Mary Magdalene. Mary's central role in the Gospels has historically been used by some as evidence that the church should introduce female priests, and since 1969, when the Catholic Church admitted that it had mistakenly identified Mary Magdalene as a sex worker, the calls for women in church leadership positions have only grown louder. Within the church, she does have tremendous power, and there are lots of women who look to Mary Magdalene as a foundation for women's leadership within the church, says Taylor. So there's a drawing. It's Leonardo da Vinci started painting his famous Last Summer mural in Milan in 1495. I'm not going to bring it up because everybody knows what it looks like. And you can literally just search Leonardo da Vinci Last Supper and it's on there. You know what it is. Like, I'm not going to bother showing it to you again. The film draws partially from the Gospel of Mary, a very mysterious document discovered in the 19th century, Taylor says. It has no known author, and although it's popularly known as a gospel, it's not technically classed as one, as Gospels generally recount the events during Jesus' life rather than beginning after his death. It's thought that the text was written sometime in the 2nd century, but some scholars claim it overlaps Jesus' lifetime. In the Gospel of Mary, which isn't officially recognized by the church, Mary Magdalene is framed, as the one disciple who truly understands Jesus' spiritual message, which puts her in direct conflict with the apostle Peter. Mary describes to the other apostles a vision she has had of Jesus following his death. Peter grows hostile, asking why Jesus would especially grant Mary, a woman, a vision. Fucking Peter. Mary Magdalene's, he's married, you guys. Mary Magdalene's special understanding of Jesus' message and Peter's hostility towards her, as portrayed in Mary Magdalene, will likely split opinion. According to Taylor and her colleague, Professor Helen Bond of the University of Edinburgh, Scotland, with whom Taylor is presenting a UK television series on women disciples this Easter. When was this? How have I not heard of this? This is in 2018, titled Jesus Female Disciples, the New Evidence. In the film, she's really close to Jesus, not because of some kind of love affair, but just because she gets Jesus in a way that the other disciples don't, Bond says. The idea that the 12 disciples didn't quite get Jesus in the same way Mary Magdalene did is addressed throughout David's film. The disciples are waiting for Jesus to overthrow the Romans and create a new kingdom, one without death or suffering, because that's what the Jews believed. But by the end of the film, following Jesus' death, Mary Magdalene has come to the conclusion that the kingdom is here and now. For Michael Haig, author of the got like goosebumps, you guys. Okay. Of the quest of Mary Magdalene, the church has historically sidelined Mary, not just because of her gender, but also because of her message. He argues that the church specifically promulgated the idea that she was a sex worker in order to devalue her message. Haig believes that Mary Magdalene's alternative ideas proved to be too dangerous for the church to allow them to spread. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, in his view, undermines church bureaucracy and favors personal understanding. Okay, this is Rooney Mara and Mary Magdalene. This is Universal Pictures. You can easily look this up. 2018. Search it. I don't have time to find it on my phone right now. I got to get to work. Okay. Mary Magdalene's release date in the U.S. has been pushed back. Its initial distributor had been the Weinstein Company, which recently filed for bankruptcy after its co-founder Harvey Weinstein was accused of sexual assault. However, members of the Christian community have already expressed doubts about the film. Taylor Berglund, an editor for Charisma Media, a Florida-based magazine aimed at charismatic and Pentecostal Christians, believes that there's potential for Christian audiences to boycott the film, as they did for Noah, starring Russell Crowe in 2014. To say only Mary Magdalene understood Jesus Christ and everyone has been mistaken would be heresy, Berglund says. If you haven't seen Noah, watch it. It's so good. Like, it's not, I mean, if you actually look in the Bible, they spend so much time describing the stupid freaking ark. They don't really go into details about like what actually happened on the boat. They talk about what happened after. They talk about like, so like to say that it's inaccurate, like who knows? Like who really knows? Like they took creative license and they went with it and they did a fantastic job and I like salute them. Good job. Russell Crowe, you did a fantastic job playing Noah. I don't care what anybody else says. Okay. The fact that Mary Magdalene draws from a gospel that isn't officially recognized by the church may also provoke criticism. Jerry A. Johnson, the president and CEO of National Religious Broadcasters, NRB, says that films that rely upon extra biblical accounts can be accurate. Evangelical audiences do not look kindly on efforts to twist the story of Jesus to fit a political narrative in service of today's agenda of feminism, Johnson says. But both Bond and Taylor point to the Bible itself for further evidence of Mary Magdalene's intimate understanding of Jesus. She remains at the cross during the crucifixion while the other disciples hide, and she's the first to see Jesus following the resurrection. There's the very strong implication that Christianity is derived from her testimony and her witness. Bond says, strip away the labels of prostitute or wife, and Mary Magdalene still remains a controversial figure. Her story challenges ideas about spirituality and the role of women in religion. She's a feminine voice from the past, Taylor says. There's something about her, something about Mary. There's something about Mary, guys. If you've seen that movie. It has nothing to do with this, but it's a good movie. Okay, so that is it. That's Time Magazine. So those are the three I wanted to read before I read the gospel. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to record anymore. I'm going to be gone until midnight working. Don't break into my house. And then I'm probably going night surfing, actually. So I'm probably going to be gone until like tomorrow. So I will not be able to update you guys with the Gospels of Mary until tomorrow morning or afternoon before I leave from work again. I work weekends mostly. It's like my weekend job. And then during the week, I do freelance stuff for journalism. I'm a pro bono journalist for God. That's my YouTube stuff. And then I help with dance studios. That's where my dance stuff comes from. I have like a very strong dance background. I've done literally like every dance that's ever existed. Like my goal in life when I was like little and I started learning different dances and then more dances, I learned like salsa and swing, East Coast and West Coast. East Coast is my favorite. Sorry, West Coast is my favorite. And then, nope, East Coast is my favorite. I don't remember. I gotta look it up again. Salsa is like my heart. Like that's like I'm passionate salsa music. Okay, so like I've learned all of them. Like I would love to learn literally every dance from every culture. That was like my goal, like to go to every country and learn every dance from every culture. And that would be the way I would communicate with them, since I have really bad memory and can't like communicate any other way. But like we have translators and a bunch of other things now. So it's like, and like literally on our phone, we can just translate anything we want to learn. So, yeah, so that's my challenge for you guys. Since I'm not going to be able to do that, I want you to go to every country and learn every dance that exists. All right, bye.